Hey guys, Randy here. I've recently, almost a month ago, I was diagnosed with rectal cancer, and I have a tumor. It's a T3N1, which I guess means that it's on the larger side. However, it hasn't spread. There are some nearby lymph nodes that are enlarged, but they just want to keep an eye on them. Anyways, I will be starting, and I'm trying to remember the medicine, so bear with me. Capecitabine, or Zolota, is the name. Let's see if I know I'm not saying that wrong. I'm not saying that right. So let's see what Google says.
Capecitabine. I'll be starting that tomorrow, and that's why I've decided to go ahead and make this video today. I wanted a video from before all that happened. So like I said, if you're a friend or family and this is how you're hearing about it, I apologize. It just, I told a few people, and that was, pretty tough. And just trying to let people know, to share my experience on Capecitabine. Share my experience on that. I'm also going to be doing radiation. I'll be taking 2 of the chemo pills per day, and then I'll have radiation treatment every day, Monday through Friday. And then I know that goes for 6 weeks. Well, the plan right now is to go for 6 weeks. Then we'll take 6 weeks off. After that, I'll have another MRI. Can't wait for that. And then from there, they're hoping the cancer is completely gone at that point. But they said even if it is, we are probably looking at quite a while more of either radiation at one time. I think it's for 6 or 12 weeks. And then like 4 months of chemo after that is what the plan is right now. So all in all, it looks like about 8.5, 9 months of treatment, then to go in and do surgery. For those of you guys who know me, I avoid all of this like the plague. I mean, I avoid going to see my doctor for really anything. And that's kind of, I told my doctor I'm kind of a professional heads in the sand type person. And so far it's, done pretty well. However, I had bleeding, so I had rectal bleeding, and it started light, and then, and they always say, well, it could be constipation or anything like that. But I didn't really have that issue, so I was still a little worried. And then as it got darker, I went to the Google doctor, and I Googled it, and they were saying, well, the darker the blood, the further up the bleeding usually. In my case, that really didn't turn out to be true. It's actually, not far in at all. In fact, it was kind of a worry that it was too close, to the back door, if you will. But after examination, that was fun, let me tell you. It looks like there should be enough connective area, so I don't have to worry about like colostomy or anything like that. Anyways, so I've known for about a month. It'll be a month on the 9th. Well, actually the 10th, but I went for the colonoscopy on the 9th. It all started though back in like June or July. So I started that bleeding. Actually, that's not true. The reason why I went to the doctor in the first place is because all of a sudden I started getting like respiratory issues. I couldn't breathe, and I didn't know what was going on. Of course I thought, well, maybe it's COVID, or really that was my main concern. And then my brother and his family were coming up to see me right around that same time, and I felt terrible because I'm like, oh man, I don't want them to come all the way here, which is like about 1,000 miles. I'm here in Idaho, if you don't know me. And I didn't want them to get all the way here just for me to say, oh, sorry, I can't see or talk to you, but thank you for coming, enjoy Boise State, or whatever. So when they got here though, they had all had COVID already, so they weren't too worried. And so he's a brother by another mother. However, his brother by the same mother had a breathing treatment, and he asked me if I wanted to try that. And at that time I was a little worried because I was having it was like my lungs were just closing. And so I did the breathing treatment, and I got better. Not the first
Well, at first, but it took a little while. But he had me doing it twice a day, and I started breathing a lot better. But after they left, almost immediately, I went back to having issues again. So I went to see the doctor. That's what it took for me to go see the doctor, is not being able to breathe. She said that, she thinks it was asthma. It sounds like asthma. So I used to have asthma when I was a preteen and a child. But once I hit teenage years, it just went away. We had a lot of smoke this year. I'm here in the Mountain Home, Idaho area, which is southeast of Boise, if you don't know. So we had a lot of smoke, so I figured, that kind of makes sense, I guess, that we have all this smoke and the asthma would pop up. So as much as I hate being on anything, I decided, maybe it would be a good idea to go ahead, and she gave me albuterol inhaler, the rescue inhaler, and she prescribed me the breathing treatments if I need them for both. Like, I wasn't supposed to do them all the time, but she did prescribe me Advair as a daily, I think it was twice a day that I was doing it. And it did help. It helped open up my lungs. However, I still would have like these asthma attacks. And it didn't take me long before I started putting two together that it seemed like they only happened when I had dairy products. Depending on the dairy product, made a difference. So it was almost like, lactose intolerance. But it would trigger like an asthma attack. It was almost like my body was trying to protect me, and usually I had to go to the restroom really quickly, if you know what I'm saying. And then I couldn't breathe on top of it, which sucked when you're at home, but when you're in public, it made it even worse. In fact, I remember having an asthma attack in Costco, and they had to call all these people over. Luckily, we didn't call the ambulance or anything like that because, we didn't need it. But it was just embarrassing to have all those people. And I sat on one of the fruit displays because there was no chairs in the area because of COVID. Anyways, so that led to me starting to cut myself off of dairy. But the bleeding kept getting kind of worse. But I noticed if I didn't have any dairy at all, usually the bleeding went away, or I didn't notice it as much. But my dad and I, we like to go to Sonic on Wednesdays when we go to Boise, and we always get the cream slush, orange cream slush. It tastes like a 50-50 bar. It's great if you haven't had it. It's really good. I had started taking Lactaid because I knew for lactose intolerance that, it would help people. And it did help me. It would take away the asthma attacks. However, the bleeding would still come. All of this is going over a while. This is a few months going through. And, I went back to see my doctor, and I told her, that I was still having blood problems. And she's like, okay. So what we need to do is we'll do labs and see how that looks. Well, my labs came back clean, they came out great. And, at this point I was over 400 pounds. There was just a lot of different, is it diabetes? Is it whatever? Labs came back fine. And I, made sure, I was like, what about my white cells? Because from what I understood, if you have cancer, white cells get elevated. But they said my white cells were fine. She's like, well, the next step would be a colonoscopy. And at this point, it was in the fall, and, the holidays were coming up. And like I told you guys, I'm a professional head in the sand. I was like, well, maybe I'll just, I had noticed about the dairy, like I had said. So I was like, yeah, I'll just kind of brush it off until after the holidays, and then I'll go in. So all of that happened, and, for the most part, I was fine. But I started noticing the blood was still coming, even when I would avoid certain things towards February. And even, for the most part, it still is usually okay, but I would have little times where it seemed like a little bit more. And it could be just, I ate stuff that I didn't realize that there was dairy in, which happens. Even from Chick-fil-A, the breading and stuff will cause issues that it didn't. used to, it seems like. So I had the colonoscopy, and they did find a mass or a growth. The next day, the doctor who did the colonoscopy called me, and he told me it is cancerous. And immediately, it was, you're gonna go see all these doctors, and I went to see a surgeon first, who then recommended I go to see my oncologist, and then the radiologist. I've had 2 CT scans. I've had an MRI. I thought the MRIs were short like the CT scan, so I'm like, I'll be in there 10, 15 minutes, and I was in there like an hour. Like it was quite a while. But he told me, because they will really want detailed pictures, and they want it to be as good as possible. So even though I wasn't moving around a lot, it still took quite a while. If you've had an MRI, they let you play music and all that. But I think if I had realized how long I was going in, I probably would have picked a different genre. I just told him, like 90s alternative. And he's like, oh, like Limp Bizkit. And I was like, sure. Well, I didn't realize he was going to put like Limp Bizkit Radio. And I was never really that big of a fan of Limp Bizkit. Like, they're all right. And you don't have, it's not your control. Anyways, long story short, I was prescribed
Capecitabine
and radiation treatment. All right, well, I know this video's gone a lot longer than I originally planned. Once again, sorry if you're a friend or family of mine and I didn't tell you personally. Like I said, it wasn't personal. It just, I try not to think about it as much as possible. I try to stay as positive as possible, which most people who know me know that that's usually the way I operate. But stuff like this tends to get at you a little bit. It could be a lot worse, right? I need to count my blessings, and I do. I wanted something that, I've watched videos from people who's been on Capecitabine. Hey, got it. That's been on that. And, there's not a lot of videos on YouTube, at least that I found, for people that were on it. However, there's a lot of doctors talking about it, but as far as people who have actually taken it, there didn't seem to be a lot. And the ones that were on there were, they were female, younger, and that's great. I got a lot of great information from them. But I thought, I'm kind of a different demographic, right? I'm nearly 400 pounds because I've lost 15 pounds since I found out, and that was intentional. My surgeon, he told me basically the more weight you can lose, the easier surgery will be. And I just decided that day that I had lost 50 pounds before by simply intermittent fasting for I think 16 hours a day. 18 hours a day, somewhere in there. And then also cutting out what I call added sugar. So I like to tell people I'm not going to do cookies or cakes or ice cream, but I still will have bread. I just won't put jelly on it. I'll still have pasta. I'll just try to limit it. And then I found out that cutting out sugar is a good tool against avoiding getting cancer in the first place. It seems to help, cutting it out, because that's one of the energy sources for cancer. That's what I've been doing. So I've lost, like I said, about 15 pounds since I found out. Like I said, I wanted to document this for myself, for family, for friends, and for people who maybe are looking for someone in my demographic, or someone who maybe relates. I'm 44 years old, if I didn't say that earlier. I am under 400 now, although at the time, like I said, I think I was 412 when I was diagnosed, and even then I was already losing, so I think I got up to 418, which was the highest I had been since I had lost the 50 pounds before. I was at 450, went down to just under 400, right around where I am now. Kept that off for quite a while, but then when the holidays came this year, I did raise up. We started getting cookies and stuff during the holidays. You know how it goes. Now I am walking every day. I was getting, I know here I'm just adding more stuff, but I was getting, I guess they call it a migraine aura. I've kind of had it for a good portion of my adult life, and it used to happen, I remember when I would play Guitar Hero, every once in a while I'd get it, the fast moving lights. But if you haven't experienced it, which I hope you haven't. But what it kind of is like, reminds me of like a digital tear in my eyesight. And it starts off with a blind spot, and then it kind of grows, and then it travels. And it lasts about 20 to 30 minutes. I've done some research on that too, and that's what they say it is. It's, I guess a lot of times it comes with migraine headaches. I don't get the migraine headaches. In fact, I've cut myself off of ibuprofen and aspirin and everything. And honestly, my headaches have almost all gone away. Like, it's kind of weird. It's like the stuff that you would take. Not that I took a lot of it before, but by not allowing myself to be on there has kind of helped, or it has helped. Okay. So if you have stuck around, God bless you. Like, I don't know how you would have done that. Thank you guys. Love you. And, all right. I'll hope to update you guys very soon on my experience with
Capecitabine.
Okay, I'm done. All right. Thank you. All right. Have a great day.